So I've never heard about men getting pregnant. I've never heard about this argument. It must be some part of what you call the far left that is so minuscule that I, who am...
No, Jane.
What?
It's not minuscule, and I'm sorry, you can't throw this back on us. I assume it's because you are locked into media that just never wants anyone in their audience to know anything sketchy about the blue team.
In a recent episode of Club Random, Bill Maher strongly challenged Jane Fonda's progressive talking points, and the exchange was compelling to watch. Fonda appeared confident, perhaps expecting a friendly platform. Instead, she faced Maher at his most direct, questioning her assumptions and pushing back against her arguments. The conversation quickly became far more intense than expected.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that is...
No, you know this about California. Come on.
No, I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't.
You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated? That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism. And what do you think?
I don't for a minute consider California a state that is extreme leftist. Not at all, not any way.
Well, that shows where your politics are.
At times, Fonda seemed deeply immersed in the Hollywood perspective, where applause and agreement are common. Critics argue that this environment can blur the line between public sentiment and industry consensus. Maher, however, approached the discussion from a different angle, grounded in how policies and cultural shifts affect everyday people outside that sphere. The contrast between those viewpoints gave the exchange its sharp edge.
Became the birthers, they became the Tea Party. There's about a third of this country that's very hard right. Of course they love Trump. When he left office, he had an approval rating of 34%. So he really only had those people. Why is he now like tied? Because the other part of the coalition are people who, they don't really like him that much. They just think the far left has gone so nutty on so many issues.
That's what they're being told.
That's what they...
By people like you.
Because it's true. You think the far left does nothing crazy?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
The tension between them was noticeable. In one moment, Fonda dismissed the idea that the far left had gone too far. In another, she acknowledged that certain factions had indeed become extreme. That inconsistency became a key turning point in the discussion. Maher pressed on the contradictions, and the audience could sense the shift as both sides attempted to clarify their positions.
What do you mean when you say far left?
I mean, I could give you a million examples.
Yeah, well, give me one.
Okay, the NAACP.
You think the NAACP is far left?
Could I finish my sentence?
Yes.
You asked me for an example.
Yeah.
Travel advisory, that's like the State Department does to go to, I'm sure when you went to Vietnam, they were advising you not to. There's a war on it.
I didn't talk to them. I don't have no...
I know, but a travel advisory.
Yeah.
Today we have them for very dangerous countries.
Yeah.
Don't go to North Korea. Don't go to Iran.
Yeah.
You know where they issued a travel advisory for black people not to go?
Yeah.
Florida. Every day there's stories like that that just makes people roll their eyes and go, are you people nuts? Even if they don't matter that much, I don't think one person listened to this and thought, I can't go to Florida. But they just suggest something to the average person, which I completely understand, which is, wow, do you people ever find anything that's ridiculous?
The debate also touched on the broader meaning of woke culture. Critics describe it as more than awareness. It has evolved into a rigid ideology influencing language, politics, entertainment, and social norms. Supporters see it as progress and social justice. Opponents argue it can overreach, sometimes prioritizing emotion over evidence. Maher suggested that when activism begins to override open debate, it risks undermining its own goals.
Men can get pregnant, that kind of stuff. And I understand that a trans woman can get pregnant. That's different than a man getting pregnant. Insist on blurring that line as if that's some sort of reasonable social cause, as opposed to just being for having full rights, respect, and protection for trans people.
A particularly sensitive topic involved biological realities and gender identity. Maher argued that advocacy for rights and dignity should not require denying established science. He suggested that the most effective path forward is one that balances respect for individuals with honest, evidence-based discussion. According to him, Pushing ideas that many perceive as scientifically inaccurate can weaken broader public support for equality.
Men getting pregnant. I've never heard about this argument. It must be some part of what you call the far left that is so minuscule that I, who am...
No, Jane,
What?
It's not minuscule, and I'm sorry, you can't throw this back on us. I assume it's because you are locked into media that just never wants anyone in their audience to know anything sketchy about the blue.
During the exchange, Fonda attempted to distance herself from some of the more controversial claims often associated with progressive activism. She argued that the most extreme voices represent only a small fraction of Democrats. Maher countered that those voices have gained significant influence in shaping public messaging. That disagreement highlighted a larger debate about how much power activist factions truly hold within the party.
I mean, I don't know. I read 2 papers, and maybe I don't. I should watch Fox News.
No,
I guess.
I don't watch that. That's too far. But you don't have to. I'm not going to torture myself.
As the conversation wound down, Fonda made a light-hearted remark suggesting she should have watched more conservative media. While meant as humor, some interpreted it as an acknowledgement of media echo chambers. The moment underscored a broader concern. When people primarily engage with like-minded voices, their understanding of public opinion can become limited.
In the history of this country was police who were all too willing to shoot black people. So defund the police, though, was not a good idea. And you know who mostly didn't think it was a good idea was black people, because they want police in their neighborhoods, probably more than we need them in our.
The discussion expanded to movements like defund the police, which gained traction during periods of national unrest. Supporters framed it as a call for reform, while critics warned of unintended consequences. In some cities, rising crime rates led to renewed debates about public safety. The situation serves as a reminder that policy shifts require careful consideration of long-term impacts.
Republicans tried to catch the Democrats with this, and they put this on, they brought it up in Congress.
Yeah.
And all the Democrats voted against it. The Democratic politicians were not for defunding the police. It's that radical fringe that has captured a lot of the media, academia, some of these cultural institutions that are not liberal anymore by my old school liberalism. The ACLU was all about free speech. They don't really believe in it anymore. They believe, in one of their chief people who is trans said, I will die on this hill of banning this.
Maher argued that progressive activism has become one of the loudest forces within the Democratic Party. According to him, moderates often hesitate to push back for fear of backlash. He suggested that healthy political movements require open disagreement, not ideological enforcement. Without internal debate, he warned parties risk alienating mainstream voters.
Most voters say U.S. can't repair severe divisions. And they went into the fact that 5 years ago, even during the pandemic and during the George Floyd protests, even then people thought, well, we are going to get through this. And now they seem to be on the page of, it's not going to happen. What do we do? Did you see the story?
Yeah, and I think what's new about this moment, one of my teachers and friends, Dov Seidman, likes to say this, we aren't divided, we are being divided.
That's right.
By companies for profit, okay? And we have our divisions, we always have them.
Some critics go further, claiming polarization is not accidental but strategically embraced by extreme factions on both sides. They argue that outrage generates attention and influence. When disagreement turns into labeling and cancellation rather than discussion, it erodes trust. True unity, they contend, requires tolerance for differing perspectives, not punishment for expressing them.
You, on your phone, you ordered a yoga mat or something. Your algorithm figured out you're a liberal. Then your neighbor looked up a truck. You're a conservative. And from that day forward, you got different information every day, and nobody sent a notice. And so now you literally think your neighbor is insane, because how could they possibly think this stuff? But if you put your phone next to their phone, you're in different algorithmic universes, and that is brand new and very dangerous.
One area of agreement across political lines is the need for healthier public dialogue. Commentators like Van Jones have suggested that social media algorithms contribute to division by feeding users content that reinforces existing beliefs. If society is to rebuild meaningful discourse, People must be exposed to opposing viewpoints in thoughtful, substantive ways, not just viral outrage clips. Genuine conversation requires discomfort, curiosity, and a willingness to listen. Without that, echo chambers will continue to replace understanding.